In this video, I'm going to show you how to create some simple agents to make you the most productive person in your company. Who wouldn't want to be the most productive person in the company? And show you a little bit of the different way that I work today because I've incorporated AI across, all of the things that I do. And so this is going to be a quick short video for all of you watching on LinkedIn. If you want the long form video, which is 40 minutes long, the build along, you can sign up to my newsletter and I will post it out to you, or you can go watch it on Marketing Against the Grain podcast coming out very, very soon. But let's get into this video. The first thing I'm going to start with is the exciting thing of folder structure. So let me bring up, we're going to start with folder structure. And so the reason we're going to start with folder structure is because it's really how you think about work needs to change as you start to integrate AI across all your different workflows. And so let me bring it here so I can show you all. So this is basically a little bit about my folder structure, and basically just how I work, right? So I have three large pods that I oversee within HubSpot. It's a lot of fun. I'm very fortunate. And so I have a scaled selling pod, which is all around how to build a great go-to-market at the lower end of our business, the overall way that HubSpot's go-to-market just works, and then the all of the AI work that we're doing that we call Flywheel. And so what I basically have is a folder structure that divides everything into meeting transcripts and strategic docs. That's all. And so if you have a project, you would think you would do the same thing. You would have meeting transcripts, you would record everything, and then you would have all of your strategic docs in a separate folder. And what I'm going to show you is how I have two agents per project, and you can build these in Google Gemini, you can build them in Claude, you can build them in ChatGPT. So that's the first thing is like, hey, you need to start thinking about how you have these folder structures and how they work for the agents you want to build. And for me, each pod has two agents, one that manages all of my meetings, one that manages all of my strategic talk. And this one is an executive assistant. This one is a project assistant. The next thing you do, I showed this one already. So then you have a prompt to set up your meeting assistant. And you can see this is it's pretty simplistic, but works really well. You are my executive assistant. I've been through this one in previous videos, sent it to my newsletter subscribers, and covered it on the podcast. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but it's specific for analyzing meeting transcripts, identifying key decision and action points. This is really, really useful. Tracking your deadlines, flagging high priority items, all of that good stuff. The one that I want to show you is like really cool is like a project assistant. So every single project has a project assistant. Basically what I do is I have this large prompt. If you want the prompts, because people always want the prompts, you need to be on my newsletter because I have to send you the docs. I cannot give the docs out on LinkedIn because it just doesn't work very well. So you want the docs, you want the entire prompt, you need to sign up for the newsletter. You can find it in my LinkedIn bio or my LinkedIn profile. So basically you set it up, you give it the project name, you give it the objective of the project, and you give it goals, right? You want to tee up what the project is. And then the first thing it will do is analyze that project for you. So anytime you need a status update, anytime you need to kind of dig into what's happening with the project. And again, remember in that folder, everything goes in there. Don't worry about like organizing it. I'm a terrible organizer of folders. Put all of your strategic docs in there, all of your KPI reports, everything in there. And then it can give you what I do is basically when I go in, I can say, hey, give me a summary, and it will start with these things, right? It talks about strategic planning, talks about all of these different things. It can give me risk assessments, technical specifications, stakeholder comms, like all of this good stuff. But the other thing that I've done then is I created a menu. So anytime I want, I can say, okay, give me the options here, what I can dig into. And it can give me a project status analysis. It does a really great job, huge deep dive of what's happening within any project. It can do a risk assessment, does a really good job there. It can do tactic generation, so it can actually identify what are the most pressing components of any project, and then it can actually implement and give you ideas for tactics to overcome those obstacles. Gives you really great strategic recommendations. I can talk about the differences quickly between Gemini Gems, which I have built these in, Claude projects, which I have built these in, and ChatGPT, which I built these in. And then document generation. If you actually need to provide your team with an update, someone on Slack with an update, an email to your executive team, it can do all of that for you. So you have this prompt, you can play around with it. You set it up. It's a really large prompt to set up a project assistant to manage all of your strategic docs, all of the project updates, everything that you need. And then you simply can either build these in Gems. So Gems is Google's version of ChatGPT. You can build it in custom ChatGPT. So you see, I have a gem per I have the structure set up for my folders. I have a meeting executive and a project assistant for each of my projects. You can set them up in ChatGPT. So you can see here, you get explore GPTs and you go into my GPTs and you'll find them in there if it would ever load. Here we go. And I will go into my GPTs. I'm covering the thing. Here we go. So I have it set up in there, and then Claude, I have it set up in projects. The reason I'm not going to show Claude is because I'm going to go through the kind of what they're useful for, the comparable between like Google Gems, Claude projects, and ChatGPT. So let me just bring up this one here, Flywheel AI project assistant, because I think the project assistant, the meeting one is super cool, but this one is super cool. So look, I can just go in and say, give me a summary of 28 days. This is connected to real data. So you can see in my prompt, I'm actually asking it to create fake data. So everything you see here is actually going to be fake. I've been trying to figure out how to do more of these videos, but with the things that I've actually connected into my work data. And the way that I've realized I can do that is if I ask AI to like fake the data, it does a really good job of faking the data. So you're like, you need a project summary of 28 days. What is even happening in my project? I'm trying to manage hundreds and hundreds of people across all of these different pods. But even if you're trying to manage 5 people, 3 people, 10 people, you're like, what has actually happened in the last 28 days? Well, because AI has access to that folder, it actually does a really good job of giving me a deep analysis of like the project, everything that's happening in that project. So this is an example. We'll think for a little bit, we'll analyze it, and then it will give me some really good output. While Gemini Gems is doing that, let me kind of give you the breakdown of how these things perform. Gemini Gems is really good because it's connected into your Google Drive, so you can easily upload all of the documentation you need to the custom assistant, and it can do all of the analysis for you. So it's pretty easy to like get it connected to all of your docs. You can see here it's giving me a project summary, it's giving me key challenges, it's giving me insights, it's giving me next steps. And then if I go, give me the menu of options, it will give me the menu of options because I put those into the prompt so it can tell me what it will do. And then I can choose what I want to do, right? I can say, hey, let's finish. Let's do 3 tactics because I want to know what are the, what does that say? Let's do 3 tactics. So I want to basically have it tell me what are the core components that it feels are at risk right now and then generate some tactics. So it will do a pretty great job of that. So Google Gemini Gems, really good. Large context window, provides really great output connected into your documentation. ChatGPT is actually better on this project assistant because it gives better strategic recommendations. Meeting assistants are the meeting assistant is pretty equal across all 3. Claude has some big problems on trying to get this into a state where I would use it because the context window is too small to upload the amount of documentation I want. And the other thing is it isn't able to upload slides like Google Slides or PowerPoints. And a lot of my strategic docs are in visual format, whereas ChatGPT and Gemini does a really good job of that. So basically, this is a short form version of a long form video. So I'm giving you the kind of outline of how I use AI. People have been asking me like, what are different ways you use it in your day to day? And I'm going to start to do more videos to show you lots of different ways that I use it. So this is the first one, right? I have these assistants that help me manage all of my projects. I have them hooked into all my work. I use Gemini, I use ChatGPT, and I use Claude, a little bit spoiled, but they have like different advantages and disadvantages. So for example, when I'm doing an update for the exec team, I will actually do it in Gemini Gem, and then I will have Claude rewrite it because it's a better writer. So I can use different things like that. So you have to really start to think about like where AI can start to make your life much easier, and then how you can integrate it in a really seamless way. So hopefully this is giving you some ideas. Again, if you want the full video, the ride along as I build these things, as I tweak them in Gemini Gems, in ChatGPT, in Claude projects, and if you want the full prompts, sign up to the newsletter, watch the full podcast episode, and hopefully you're finding these updates useful.